Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching us from a different time zone, good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. And for those who are new in this platform, I've noticed that um, I'm happy and I'm very happy to announce that I have actually increased my following. For those who are new in this platform, my name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we create programs that add value and impact for leaders to stay relevant, adapt to the next normal, and ensure performance of a hybrid team. And of course, our mission is to be able to inspire sustainable transformation by empowering leaders through customized solutions that drives outcomes and impact. We have served over 6,500 leaders from 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, Ayala Group, Meralco, Aboitiz Power, Manila Hotel, Brunei Shell, to name a few. And today, our session will be related to cybersecurity. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when I did a research and some conversations with our clients as well, that cybersecurity has been one of the major issues nowadays. And what I've read in one news is that cyber cases is up to 400% in 2023, according to DOJ. That's in the Philippines. And I've also read internationally or globally, according to the World Economic Forum Global Risk Perception Survey, that cybersecurity is fourth in the top 10 risk. That's really high, right? And again, it's not just the money spent, it's more than just the money, but it's also avoiding personal operational disruptions, brand damage, and loss of revenue and more, according of course to cybersecurity insiders. And before I introduce my guest, I would like to acknowledge and thank our sponsor Babylon 2K, whose mission is to help your business save time, save cost, and reduce financial risk. And soon they will be launching Beth, which is an ultimate artificial intelligence platform designed specifically for professionals in auditing, tax, and accounting. Let me share with you how it works. So make use of that free 1 month trial use for that one. And of course, it's my great pleasure to have a conversation with Ben Ouano. He's currently the Chief Operating Officer in Asia Pacific with Resecurity, a cybersecurity threat intelligence provider. He is an IT security executive with over 25 years of experience in product development, data security, network design, application development, and systems administration. He previously held roles as Vice President for Information Technology for Turner Techtronics Incorporated, Director, Product Development for InfoArmor, in which he was responsible for the design and development of Vigilante, an award-winning threat intelligence platform combining OSINT, non-OSINT, and proprietary intelligence data. Mr. Ouano started his IT career with Symantec. It's an antivirus technology business unit and later became the lead technical architect of the Symantec security incident and event manager as SIEM appliance. He holds a BA from St. John College and an MBA from Ashford University. Without so much further ado, I'd like to invite Ben. Hi, Ben.
Hi, good morning, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's a pleasure to have you in this conversation. I'm sure
Thank you.
not only I will actually learn a lot from you, but of course our audience will learn so much from you, especially in the space of data intelligence and cybersecurity, right? And before I ask my first question, I would like to say hi and acknowledge Brigadier Sushil Basin, who's saying hi to us and nice to be here. Thank you for joining us live. And if you're watching us live, whether you're on Facebook, on YouTube, or in especially on LinkedIn, because we don't see the people who are watching us live on LinkedIn, do send us a message, share with us what's you're learning, as well as if you have any additional questions. I'm sure Ben could answer your questions, right?
Yes.
Despite that, I will have a lot of questions for you, by the way.
Okay.
So I have shared your introduction. I hope I gave justice to that. But do you have
Thank you.
anything to say more, or would like to add to for our audience reference?
No, no. I just wanted to give just a brief overview of my background and why I'm involved and why I'm passionate about cyber security, cyber threat intelligence.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yes.
Go ahead if there's anything.
No, no,
That,
no. I just wanted to just go over and you explained it fine. So at least
okay,
people get
great.
some background of my background.
Thank you. And I'd like to say hi to Amy or Amy. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. So, again, we're talking about data driven defense and how intelligence shapes cybersecurity strategies, right? And to start with, what is actually data intelligence, right? And how it is, or how is it applied in the context of cybersecurity?
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, let's define what data intelligence is. And data intelligence really involves the collection, processing, and analysis of vast, huge amounts of data in
Mm-hmm.
order to extract actionable insights. So, if the term data intelligence is new to you, it is because it has evolved due to the constant cybersecurity landscape, threat landscape of the past few years. Why should we use it? And let me step back just a little bit so we can understand. I'm going to use an excerpt from a 6th century Chinese military strategist called Sun
Mm-hmm.
Tzu, who is still considered today the godfather of modern warfare, and whose treaties and his philosophies are still taught in many military institutions worldwide. And his treatise is called The Art of War. And he says this: if you know yourself and know your enemy, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Well, let's go over that again. It's very simple, but it's very important. If you know yourself and you know your enemies, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. In a traditional modern day war, enemies perform reconnaissance on each other. That is, they want to look at locations, they want to size up the strength of the military. Weaknesses gained from, let's say, aerial views or some type of ground communications or other types of intelligence gathering. The problem is this, is that this is a digital battlefield. Okay, this is the deep dark web, and not everyone has access to this. We are also dealing with a faceless enemy, one that does not want to show who he or she is, and they
Mm-hmm.
just want to present this face that no one can identify.
Mm-hmm.
So let's preface all of this, and let's start where this all started. Okay, computer security throughout the years, and as we know it now, has used antivirus. Let's say in the 90s, even before that, in the 80s, we were dealing with mainframe computers. I'm dating myself, right? But these were just these huge pieces of hardware that were in some air conditioned silo, that were large machines. And I remember having to run punch cards and doing tape backups. That's how I cut my teeth in IT. You go fast forward into IBM introducing the first personal computer, the first PC, the 8088, which I had. And at that time, we thought, wow, we don't need a computer that is humongous. It is all based in what we have, what we can control. Everything is here. And so those first machines, everyone, were saving up their money trying to get them, and they weren't cheap. They were very expensive. Moving on to that, we've seen a lot of growth with the hardware. So, now we see that the hardware is improved. We are looking at interconnectivity. And now the internet gives us the ability to connect with each other, where before we didn't. And it was very painful at that point in time where we were communicating by modems, dial-up internet access. I remember 300 baud modems. And these were, the infancy of what we now know today as network connectivity. So
Mm-hmm.
fast forward from that, we started to see some developments where our computers started to slow down. And suddenly we realized that we had some types of viruses or viral things that were put into the computer that would purposely slow them down, or they would obstruct the processing of the computer. And this is what we know today in the 80s when it first started in 90s as computer viruses. Okay, antivirus was developed predicated on the creation of definition sets, identification data, to prevent viruses from being implanted in your computer. And while this is still used today, it becomes a bit antiquated in terms of cybersecurity
Mm-hmm.
because cybersecurity threats evolve. That is a given. We've seen nuances, new permutations of every type of malware or virus. And we understand now that using data as a means to understand what threats are, and to a certain extent, a predictive analysis of what may come again based on current data, historical data, and the gathering of all the data points. Data intelligence in the context of cybersecurity
Mm-hmm.
is used to identify patterns, threats, analyzing data from various sources. And these sources could be network traffic,
Mm-hmm.
logs, even user behavior, and any types of external threat intelligence feeds. So by leveraging these insights, organizations can proactively protect their systems and make informed decisions to enhance their overall security posture. Antivirus alone is not enough to prevent cyber attacks. I think we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
It is holistically defensive in nature, okay? And that is, it is used to protect and defend, but not fully understanding the threat or the virus or the malware. Now, we've seen this here in the Philippines. We've seen the Philippine Health ransomware attack in
Mm-hmm.
October of 2023. It only took one machine that was compromised by a threat actor that had implanted malware, and it wreaked havoc on the entire organization. So it evaded antivirus detection, and we have seen firsthand what that situation has evolved to.
Wow, thank you for educating us with data intelligence and how it is relevant with cybersecurity. And again, like the world is evolving, right? From previews where we were just like using the network through phones and through simple processes. Now, it has been evolving, and everything um that we see, like everything, like even progress has its own pros, cons, or crisis and opportunities that are attached to it. And again, our audience, let me just read through. He said that it's profound, that I like the relationship between the data intelligence with Sun Tzu's art of war, right? And it's interesting because that could actually apply in so many things, right? In businesses, now in cybersecurity, and and more, right? And in life as well, right?
Right.
And that was
Like it or
brilliant.
not, I mean, the essence is this: we are at war. Whether or not you agree with me or not, we are at war with these cyber threat actors because they are taking our digital assets, our
Mhm.
digital identities. They are impersonating. They want to monetize anything and everything they can. That means they want to get into your bank accounts. They want to drain them. They want to get into your credit cards and any other finances that you may have.
Mhm.
So really, we have to be not more than defensive, but we need to be offensive. And data and intelligence gives us the opportunity to not only understand the enemy, but to really respond and then create some type of cyber resilience to this.
Mhm.
Because it's one thing to be defensive, but you will always be defensive unless you counter with some type of offense. And this is what data intelligence offers you.
Yes, and that is what cyber resilience was all about. I remember a conversation with one of the experts who's been producing events as well around this space. And he told me, "Are you sure you're going to do cyber resilience? Because that's totally different, or like latter part around recovery and all." And so what I did is, okay, let me just interview more CISOs and those who are involved in IT security, IT risk management, and all those stuff. But I feel that I've been hearing the same thing, because it's interesting. Someone told me like it's not really all about whether you're gonna be attacked or you're gonna be breached, but it's a matter of when and how will you address it, right? And that's why I said like it's really like the goal is really to be able to continue to operate. In my introduction earlier, I said that it's not all about the money, but that you spend as a person or individual, as well as enterprise, right? It's especially for enterprises because they have built their business. They have to ensure that they avoid operational disruptions, their brand damage, loss of revenue, because all of these will actually entail cost, right? At the end of
Right.
the day. So, having
Yes.
said that, I mean, you've mentioned around like really what data intelligence and how is it connected with cybersecurity just now. And so, how does data intelligence differ from traditional cybersecurity approaches?
So traditional cybersecurity approaches often rely on predefined rules,
Mm-hmm.
on signatures or rule sets or data definitions and
Mm-hmm.
reactive measures to detect and respond to threats.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, we have been led to believe that antivirus is needed and required for protection of our systems.
Mm-hmm.
And but as the threat landscape has evolved, we have seen threat actors and threat actor groups circumventing these defensive measures and defeating antivirus products by changing their telemetry of access into the endpoints of a company's network. Now, while traditional cybersecurity does an adequate job of protecting the company and its network, threat
Mm-hmm.
actors are always a step ahead. And what they'll do is they'll purchase these
Mm-hmm.
antivirus endpoint software solutions because you can subscribe and get them, purchase them on the internet, and they test the delivery mechanisms and payloads of their malware. So if they can buy that, they've just gotten an advantage over those that are using these types of solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So, undetected by, let's say, a firewall or an endpoint, XDR, MDR, some type of antivirus solution, the
Mm-hmm.
endpoint is then infected under the radar without being, detected. And this is
Mm-hmm.
what threat actors want. They want to embed themselves in the endpoints of company networks. And
Mm-hmm.
then once embedded, they perform a reconnaissance of the network in order to learn more about company assets. So they'll be looking for shared files, sensitive company portals,
Mm-hmm.
finance portals, and then what types of data can be exfiltrated and then eventually monetized. So they want to actively engage and monetize everything they can in order to fund their nefarious activities. Remember, these are human beings, bad human beings, okay? But they develop these types of attitudes and these proficiencies. So
Mm-hmm.
if we do not understand that or do not understand, we will fail in our way of responding to these types of threats. Okay, so where traditional cybersecurity approaches fail, that is where threat actors thrive. And they use what they call command and control botnets. We use in the industry, these are called C2s. Okay, so they hide their identity. They command these vast arsenals of these botnets, computers that they have infiltrated and they now have control of, and they hide their identity. This is how they get into networks. So using data that a company can acquire uh, about these botnets is key to understanding the threats and their payloads. So in contrast, data intelligence takes a more proactive stance by leveraging advanced analytics, machine learning, and big data techniques. It enables organizations to uncover hidden threats, anticipate emerging risks, and respond faster to incidences. This is a shift from a reactive cybersecurity posture to a proactive defense, which is really going to be the key differentiator that makes data intelligence a vital component of modern cybersecurity strategies.
Wow, that you have explained it so well. I mean, comparing the traditional as well as the what it is that they need now, and like how it will still be evolving for sure in the near future. And like what Brigadier Sushil said, we are at war with cybersecurity warriors, and that's right. That's the example and how you have explained it. And again, as you've mentioned, data intelligence takes more of a proactive stance by leveraging advanced analytics, machine learning, and big data techniques. And these words are not just buzzwords or trends, right? It's actually something that they need to incorporate in their businesses and even in cybersecurity. And so, can you share some examples of how organization actually use data intelligence to improve their cybersecurity posture based on what you just shared as well?
Absolutely. So one example could be the use of data intelligence in threat hunting
Mm-hmm.
for let's say, larger companies that have SOC, SOCs, security operations centers. These organizations can analyze logs, network data, and external threat feeds to identify potential indicators of compromise that may
Mm-hmm.
have gone unnoticed by even traditional security tools or even their overworked security teams. They are overloaded with information because there is so much data being transpired throughout the internet, and there are so
Mm-hmm.
many millions of data points. And at times, many times, we have what we call alert fatigue, where you just overload your teams with all of these little things, and sometimes they may be missing some little attributes or nuances that AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning can detect and prioritize. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Another example would be in fraud detection, and this
Mm-hmm.
is very much right now in the highlight, where financial institutions use data analytics to monitor transactions in real time,
Mm-hmm.
flagging suspicious activities that deviate from your typical patterns. So again,
Mm-hmm.
you have an app. Your bank gives you access to an application.
Mm-hmm.
You use the app, you sign on to you, and
Mm-hmm.
immediately there is data gathered, is collected from you. Okay, as a user, you signed into the banking app, record your IP address, it
Mm-hmm.
records your location. Now, if previous history does not correlate with your sign on, then this may indicate to the bank that a user has captured your credentials or gained access to your account. In this case, if a threat actor, let's say, has gotten access to your account, a different IP address would show. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're in another area of the world. And so this type of data intelligence can provide immediate verification and in some cases deny access to the account. So we're trying to have these preventative measures by
Mm-hmm.
using data intelligence. So as the
Mm-hmm.
data is compared, the app continues, allows you to continue. Let's say that it's verified who you are. Let's say that you want to make a money transaction, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
transfer, and you fill out the information that's there that is stored on the bank computers. So it tells them who you are, who is the recipient, what is
Mm-hmm.
the amount, and what is the purpose. Now, if there are any irregularities, such as sending an amount that exceeds a certain threshold, or sending to someone in a location that you've never sent to, or
Mm-hmm.
let's say that their IP address is blacklisted,
Mm-hmm.
um, this data is used to contrast and compare to minimize risk and minimize fraud. So it prevents these money mules from sending financial transactions for nefarious purposes like funding illegal activities, money laundering, etc. Another example I can give you is for those IT teams
Mm-hmm.
that use vulnerability management. It helps organizations prioritize the patching
Mm-hmm.
efforts based on the likelihood of exploitation and the potential impact on the critical assets.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, as an example, that your company uses a certain software app that has an identified vulnerability. Data
Mm-hmm.
intelligence can be used to show if it is actually coming, the patch itself has been tampered. It can also show that if it is being downloaded from a nefarious site. So it gives
Mm-hmm.
them, threat actors, another avenue for a threat vector to get into your system. So those are the types of examples where data intelligence can really be used to help companies proactively increase their cybersecurity posture.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot already, right? There are several cases or like examples that you just shared. I thought you're only sharing one, and you shared three. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I have noticed that as well. Like right now, that banks and even credit cards are using mobile apps as well, right? And it's good that they ask you to do like a second security. They ask you to like do, how do you call that again, the second to confirm, they will ask you for codes, for
Right.
OTP, for
Yeah,
the
multi-factor authentication or things like
yes,
that.
yes, that one. Multiple authentication. Yes, that's true. And that's really helpful. It's because sometimes, when you're a customer, sometimes you might think like, they're asking me for too much things, do this, do that. But actually, that it's meant to protect you, right? And thank you for sharing and educating our audience as well that, this is actually for us to ensure that, we avoid all of these likelihood in exploitation or getting our assets taken away or used by these fraudulent activities, right? And I have some interesting comments here. Let me just read through. It's not even just the bad actors or humans anymore. They exploit AI or ML to quickly generate malware and or find vulnerabilities in the system networks. So your point is right. And you need AI versus AI with proactive strategies, right? I'm sorry, I cannot see your name. It shows Lincoln user. So feel free to share with us who you are. And he or she has a follow up question. Actually, do we also capture the machine ID and IMEI numbers, etc.? If that happens,
Typically, with banks and all that, they are not that invasive. But threat actors know how to get ID and IMEI numbers. So
mm-hmm.
if those are and that is data again, where we bring out. Threat actors have access to this. I mean, there's all types of techniques now, and much too far to go into in this particular discussion. We hear of SIM hijacking, using dual SIMs. Now there's some, other services that threat actors are using, like phishing as a service, or even one
Wow.
that's been well known for a couple of years called Evil Proxy, which they will use that defeats multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. So,
Mm-hmm.
we are still in this reactive phase of cybersecurity. We are not making any gains on winning this cybersecurity war. I can guarantee you that. But we need to change our attitudes and how we address and stand up to a lot of what is happening with this.
Exactly, because the threat actors are, I would say, like are very funded and very intelligent when it comes to like doing this unnecessary things, right? Oh, Amy actually helped me with the MFA. Thank you. And the LinkedIn user is Akankasha. I hope I read your name correctly. And Dr. Kawin Bunya Pridi. Thank you so much for sharing with us your name.
Thank
And
you.
I hope I did not uh, disaster your name. So
No.
thank you so much. So having said that, how can data intelligence improve data detection? We've already like established how, like the examples and how it actually can improve the posture, and how can data intelligence improve the threat detection and response times, having said that.
Okay, so data intelligence can enhance the threat detection by the continuously analyzing
Mm-hmm,
large volumes of data, the redundant stuff that where, when human beings do it, there tends to be overload. And so they'll miss a lot of things. So with data intelligence, it's all about analyzing large amounts of data from various sources, and it does it in real time. So it
mm-hmm,
enables the identification of very subtle indicators of compromise,
mm-hmm,
maybe that would be missed. And what I mean by like that is that sometimes tools aren't trained to identify
mm-hmm,
even the or even the human component of your security operations center may not be
mm-hmm,
trained. So examining these large amounts of data, will bring alert fatigue. But using AI, ML to be able to analyze this gives us faster response. And by
mm-hmm,
correlating all this data across multiple dimensions, so we're not just using data intelligence, we're also using
mm-hmm.
user behavior, right? Because we capture that as data. And
Right.
then network activity from the network logs that are being generated. And then, of course, the use of external threat intelligence feeds. The organizations can detect threats much faster and more accurately.
Mm-hmm,
It also enables the team to function more in human oriented tasks. So you
mm-hmm,
free up your SOC team or your incident response team to be able to address those types of items and responsibilities that need careful curation, very specific details that human intelligence, human beings can bring to that. And then, moreover, data intelligence enables automated responses to specific types of
mm-hmm,
threats. So it can be programmatically included. So it reduces the amount of time between detection and mitigation. And then this rapid response capability is crucial in
mm-hmm.
minimizing the damage caused by cyber attacks.
Wow. That's really like a lot of things or advantages, benefits from actually making use or leveraging on data intelligence. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I don't know if this is Akanksha or Dr. Cowan, but was saying that Amy, MFA isn't the answer anymore, unfortunately, right? Um, so, sir, do you reckon that AI or ML can maybe also give a lot of false positives in a, SOC setup?
Yes, you have to control the inputs, right? AI is only going to be as good as AI is programmed to be. So, you can't just launch AI in any of your applications and say, expect it to work, because it has to know what is good, what is right, what is correct, what is incorrect. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
So it does take time. And sadly, when we see a lot of postings, on
mm-hmm,
LinkedIn or wherever it may be, AI is the answer, AI is the answer. But the problem
mm-hmm,
is this: we can't even solve data breach problems by
mm-hmm.
asking or having good password hygiene. How the heck do you expect AI to correct that? You can't. You have
Exactly.
to program the AI and the ML in order for it, and so that does take time. Sadly, but that is the crux of the problem there, for sure.
Exactly. And what I've learned from from AI, I actually attended a program around AI. And again, you have to educate AI, right? You have to train it before you can actually leverage fully on it. So again, it's input in, so trash in, trash out as well, right?
Exactly.
if,
Right.
if you're giving it very good inputs, then um of course you get good results as well. Also, the person who actually made a comment is Akanksha. Yes. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So, you know, I really appreciate our audience who's been very engaging today. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. So you had to answer more questions as well, which are very interesting questions, right? And very relevant to this conversation. And despite that I'm not an expert in data intelligence and cybersecurity myself, at least I can leverage on your over 25 years of experience and your knowledge on this. So I really appreciate you. So that leads me to my last question on what advice would you give to the organizations looking to enhance their cybersecurity measures with data intelligence?
So my advice would be to start integrating data
Mm-hmm,
intelligence into your existing
mm-hmm,
cybersecurity frameworks. Okay, invest in the right tools and technologies that allow for real-time data collection and
mm-hmm,
analysis.
mm-hmm,
Your team should be trained to understand and act on insights
mm-hmm,
driven from data analytics. Additionally, focus on creating a culture of continuous improvement, okay, where data driven insights are regularly used to refine and enhance your cybersecurity strategies.
mm-hmm,
Also, collaborating with external threat intelligence providers and then
mm-hmm,
sharing of the data across industries can also amplify the effectiveness of your data intelligence efforts. So, if your present cybersecurity vendor only gives you defensive solutions, okay,
mm-hmm,
we mentioned them earlier, they're only
mm-hmm,
offering antivirus, endpoint. Caution you to consider other cyber threat intelligence vendors who provide you with data.
mm-hmm,
We can solve 2024 cybersecurity problems using data instead
mm-hmm.
of responding with antiquated antivirus solutions of the 90s.
Right, right. And I remembered having conversation with like a CEO of cybersecurity institute before, where they train people, but at the same time, it again, as you mentioned, it requires continuous improvement, continuous learning, because again these are all evolving. But aside from protecting yourself, there's also another way to be more proactive in terms of protecting ourselves or our enterprise, right? Our systems, to ensure that we get to start integrating all of these cybersecurity frameworks with the right tools and technology, like you've said, and it has to be real time, right? And that goes
Absolutely.
back to like not only like protecting ourselves but ensuring that the business operations will be continuous as well. And I appreciate Dr. Cowan from repeating like what AI is, right? It's garbage in, garbage out. Thank you. Um, and Akasha said, "Sir, do you think CTI platforms can be effective even without SOC in place?"
Absolutely. And it could be applied, CTI can be applied from the largest enterprise, government, where they do have SOCs. And CTI can be used even in the small businesses. Small businesses should,
Mhm,
really partner up with their managed service providers who provide CTI. They
mhm,
have access to, they should have access to it. Everyone should have access to CTI because that really is the way to start to solve and address these new and evolving cyber threat risks.
That's interesting you've mentioned around small and medium enterprises, right? Because that's the challenge for small companies. Because it, again, the belief is that there's always a need for high investment for you to be able to protect your organizations. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you can actually like um, do something to actually protect your own company, even if it's a small one. And that reminds me of another conversation with another person um like some of the like tools and technologies that you can actually use for free for cybersecurity as well, which is like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. um and Dr. Cowan said that there is an overabundance of vendors saying that there are data driven and AI powered, but under the hood, in the contrary, what's your recommendation on filtering out this market fluff and get to some real achievable use cases with the right tools? That's like this is a hard one, right?
Yeah, well, really what it is terminology in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity has evolved so quickly. We have become responsive. And so really when you look at it, what is the marketing brand? What is the marketing approach towards cybersecurity? I think many vendors use threat intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But what they actually are threat information. And let me clarify what I mean by that. Threat information is information that is gathered, let's say open source or
Mm-hmm.
possibly subsurface web, maybe
Mm-hmm.
pastebin sites.
Mm-hmm.
This information has not been vetted. It still requires a team, threat hunting team or a threat of experts, analysts to be able to verify and vet the information.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it should be intelligence once it's all done, because threat
Mm-hmm.
intelligence really is the data that you receive that is actionable,
Mm-hmm.
that is pertains, and it has very detailed steps of how to remediate and address the problem. So I think many teams that say, or many vendors who say they have threat intelligence, you should ask for samples of that and see what are their sources of intelligence. Some companies will have very deep and dark web reach. That's where threat actors live and play. That is where deals are made. That's where the planning and execution of these campaigns to exfiltrate data are talked about. Those are the vendors that you need to go with. That differentiates the fluff, as Dr. Cavin had said. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
say that, but they really have, the proof is in the pudding of data intelligence. Data doesn't lie. You should be able to look into that.
Thank you for that straightforward answer as well from Dr. Cowan's very straightforward question. So I hope that answers your questions. And that concludes our conversation. But before we end our conversation, I would like to ask my usual ending question, which I would call the Mr. Universe in this case question, that if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it?
Oh my God. If I had a magic wand, if the magic wand was useful, I think we
Mhm.
would have eradicated a lot of the cybersecurity problems early on. And the other side of me thinks that the threat actors would have actually exfiltrated and infiltrated the magic wand and reprogrammed it to do other nefarious things.
Oh
So
no.
I mean, in all honesty, I would probably propose this: that the magic wand be used to change the attitudes and the
Mm-hmm.
mindsets and the approaches used currently in cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
From a defensive action to offensive action, and that is to use data-driven intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to just mention to everyone on the call that as intelligence continues to gather data points,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen an increase, alarming increase in the number of fake QR codes here in APAC.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say this: think twice about using your camera to scan a QR code. Say that you're in a taxi and you see, hey, pay by Gcash and scan here. Think twice about doing that and be very careful, because threat actors can easily change or spoof QR codes. You wouldn't know the difference, right? Because there's no validation or verification. And when you
Mm-hmm.
go to make payment, it directs you to a phishing website instead of actually making a credit card or debit card payment. When that happens, the criminals now have your credit cards. Marilyn and I were talking earlier about QR codes, like at a restaurant where you have to scan. Personally, I do not, because a lot of things can be embedded in a QR code that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Scammers can very easily replace QR codes on the ordering menus of their restaurants. So I always say, well, my camera doesn't work. you'll need to be able to provide me with a hard copy, or let me use your phone to scan the QR code. So just in retrospect and in conclusion, data-driven intelligence gives us insights as to what is
Mhm,
happening right now,
mhm,
what the latest trends are, and provides intelligence on how to secure your cybersecurity posture without
mhm,
having to wait for an event like a data breach, which nobody
mhm.
wants. Okay, thank
Wow,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much for that. I mean, we have passed our targeted time to deliver this conversation, but it has been like a very educational and fruitful, productive conversation, I believe. And I'm really glad that, our audience really engage, ask us very useful questions, helpful questions that everyone else who might be listening, whether live or on a replay, to really understand better like how data intelligence and how cybersecurity and cyber resilience are like has to be integrated together, even whether it's in our personal life like the QR code example, and up to the enterprise level where in our businesses, in our daily things that we do, we really have to like ensure that how can we actually protect ourselves and our customers alike, right? So thank you so much for all the valuable insights. And it's so obvious that you are very experienced in this space on data intelligence. So thank you so much for all the insights. And Dr. Cowan says, gotta get off grid and leave off the land in that log cabin in the mountains. Thank you for engaging with
Thank
us,
you.
Dr. Cowan. And thank you so much again, Ben, for taking time to have this valuable conversation. I really love your insights. It has
Thank
educated
you.
me more than I thought I will learn from you. It's more than expected. So thank you so much. And I hope
Thank you for
we
having
have
me.
actually help our audience as well to learn more about data intelligence. And Akanksha saying thanks for this session. I really appreciate that you appreciate our conversation here. And
Thank
thank
you.
you everyone for watching us, joining us, especially for those who have engaged with us with a lot of questions, comments, and their takeaway. So those who will be able to watch this on a replay knows the highlights of this conversation already with their takeaway. And join us in this journey to create more opportunities through several interventions that we have creating. The reason why I have been doing these interviews or pre-event is because we wanted to create more awareness and work together. We need to work together, right? To be able to address this. This is a huge problem, and we can't just. Again, you've mentioned around external and external partnership, as well as being able to have this community of working together to be able to help each other address all these challenges, right? So let's take this opportunity to create more safer environment, whether in person or in the cyberspace, right? And remember that even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself will be the best investment that you can ever make in your life. So with that, again, the risks are growing, but so is our capability to respond. And we believe that together we can solve these cybersecurity challenges towards a more resilient digital foundation, right? So thank you so much again to all
Thank
our
you.
audience, especially to Ben for your all your insights and for educating us more around how data intelligence is so valuable in creating more cyber resilient organizations. So thank you so
Thank you
much.
for thank you for having me.
Thank you and have a good day, everyone. Bye
Bye
for
bye now.
now. See you in 2 weeks.